If you could play with any quarterback currently playing today, who would you like to play?
Currently playing.
Currently playing.
Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow. And I'm going to say Joe Burrow because I would like to say I would like to help him. I'm not, hey, Marr has done that, you know.
Yeah.
Hey, man,
Yeah.
that cat's special. But I think Joe Burrow, just from what I have seen since he's been in the league, since he left Ohio State, actually went to LSU, what I've seen, I think I'd like to play with him just to see what he sees and hear what he says and how he talks. You know, playing with Patrick Mahomes would be like playing with Brett. I've already done that. You know, and you know, believe it or not, Patrick Mahomes has a lot more Mike Tomczak than he does Brett Favre.
Really?
T-Zack will flip it to you, throw it behind his back.
Next up, Joe Burrow. What an incredible year this has been for Joe Burrow. He threw for over 400 yards, 4 touchdowns on Saturday night in prime time against the Broncos. Joe, man, you kept your team's playoff hopes alive with last week's win, and I know you'll look to do the same this week in Pittsburgh.
There are players who perform, and then there are players who rewrite what's possible. Joe Burrow belongs to the second category, and everyone who's shared a field with him knows it. 2020, the Cincinnati Bengals held the first overall pick. And the decision wasn't just obvious, it was inevitable. They called his name, and from that moment forward, the trajectory of an entire franchise bent towards something it hadn't known in decades: hope. What unfolded next wasn't gradual. It was seismic. Multiple playoff appearances, over 15,000 passing yards in his first 4 seasons, a completion percentage that made defensive coordinators rewrite their playbooks, 2 Pro Bowl nods before most quarterbacks find their rhythm, and 1 Super Bowl appearance that announced to the league a new era had arrived.
We talked about it yesterday, just that chip on your shoulder, everyone talking about a neutral AFC Championship game, not even thinking about you guys. How much did that motivate you coming into this?
You better send those refunds.
And the Bengals are 0-2 for the 3rd consecutive year.
Hey, other than our guy, you're the best in the business. I'm not saying that because you're saying you're the listen, I appreciate you. Good luck.
Systems come and go, dynasties crumble, records fall, but speak to anyone who's lined up across from Joe Burrow or stood in the same huddle. The response never wavers. That's where this conversation truly starts. And if you want to hear what those players actually said about him, hit that subscribe button right now, because we're about to dive into testimony that'll change how you see this quarterback forever. Drop a comment and tell us, where does Burrow rank among today's elite? These aren't manufactured sound bites, no PR spin, no carefully crafted narratives designed for prime time. These words surfaced in locker room corners, on late night podcasts years removed from the heat of competition, from veterans who've seen it all and have zero incentive to embellish.
But does Joe Burrow deserve to be in the same conversation as Patrick Mahomes to be the best quarterback in the league?
No doubt.
No question.
Might be better than him.
Burrow owns Patrick Mahomes.
Oh no, they got lucky last year. They're lucky to be here this year.
Definitely not. You got MVP, Super Bowl MVP. It's not close. Considering he's 3-0 against him, how's he the greatest if he's lost to Joe Burrow 3 times in a row?
Burrow plays quarterback, but that label doesn't come close to capturing what he actually does. He doesn't execute plays. He deconstructs defenses in real time. His pocket presence feels almost supernatural. His accuracy borders on mathematical. And his composure, that's the kind of trait that can't be drilled or developed. You either possess it or you don't. What you're hearing isn't commentary. It's not opinion or hot takes designed to fill airtime. This is direct testimony from teammates who witnessed the magic up close, and opponents who spent entire Sunday afternoons trying to solve an impossible equation.
Has he always had that kind of swag? Yeah, he always been like that. Besides when I first met him, he just was laid back trying to watch everybody. But once you get to know him, he cool, you know what I'm saying? He real cool, you know what I'm saying? He fit in, almost like damn near us. He fit in, for real, so he cool, I like him.
Do you think that's what makes him relatable to a lot of the players?
I feel like that's easier to relate to him, you know what I'm saying? He don't express himself a lot, but you know, he show no emotion, so, you know what I'm saying? Everything he do just laid out straightforward, you know what I'm saying? That's what you want.
Watch how immediate the reactions are. No pauses, no careful word selection. Whether you're asking a grizzled 10-year veteran or a rookie who barely knows the playbook, the admiration is universal and instant. 2 Pro Bowl selections before his 27th birthday. Multiple seasons leading the league in critical categories. These weren't sympathy votes or narrative-driven selections. The quarterback understands the assignment, read the defense, protect the football, move the chains, score points. It's a brutal position that demands perfection under chaos. But Joe Burrow looked at that standard operating procedure and decided it was just the baseline.
Josh Allen, he's scary.
We give him no hope, man. No hope. Play one.
And he'll cuss you out.
Suck. You suck.
Really?
Yeah, he'll talk nasty to you.
But Burrow won't.
No, Burrow, he's polite.
Hey, Vaughn. Joe, nice to meet you, brother.
But Josh Allen, he'll get nasty with you. He got a little attitude about himself.
I love that. I love it.
His deep ball became appointment television, the kind of throw that made broadcasters scramble for new superlatives. During his best, the league's elite. His completion percentage didn't just flirt with the high 60s, it lived there, a constant reminder that when he released the football, something good was about to happen. And then came 2021, over 4,600 yards, 34 touchdowns, a passer rating that told you everything about what happened when defenses gave him even the slightest opening. The season didn't just establish him as elite, it carved his name into conversations reserved for the absolute best to ever do it. Numbers provide evidence, but they can't capture the dread that settled over opposing sidelines every single week. Look at their expressions. That mixture of construct the perfect game plan with your...
I think if you ask anybody in the league right now, this ain't just me. We talked about in the locker room, we said Joe Burrow was in the National Football League this year.
I don't know that anybody can stand on a field and watch Joe Burrow and say he's not the best player in the world, and then you can transfer that argument to Jamar Chase as well, and you can argue those two to death. But the clearest thing I can say is I would not trade Joe Burrow for any player in the universe. And so to me, that's MVP.
Coordinators didn't just scheme for games against the Bengals. They built entire philosophies around containing one man. The spy, the scramble approach became a weekly discussion point. Extra coverage shells, disguised pressures designed to accelerate his clock. Strategies engineered with singular focus. Make him uncomfortable. His answer, consistent excellence that made those adjustments look quaint. Containment wasn't a tactic, it was wishful thinking. Physical tools get you noticed. Dedication gets you a roster spot. But what separates Joe Burrow is something far more elusive. A football intellect that operates on a different frequency, processing information faster than defenses can disguise it. Over 100 career touchdowns in his first 4 seasons. That figure doesn't just rank among the fastest starts in modern NFL history. It represents vision so refined, teammates openly admitted he saw openings before they even materialized.
Did it take you, when you got to Cincinnati and signed with the Bengals, to realize, oh, number 9 can sling it. Number 9's going to be pretty good?
I saw that from my first day. I knew he was going to be good from the time I walked in the locker room, and I can just see his demeanor. He was a guy who was focused. His demeanor didn't say that he was a rookie who was nervous about carrying a franchise. His demeanor said, I'm here to help to lead us to win games.
He's got all the traits you're looking for, in an NFL quarterback. And he's able to lead a bunch of guys who are really talented players, and sometimes that can be difficult, but they managed to win all 15 games, and he did an exceptional job. And that's not to mention that the skill set he's got as a quarterback on the field. So he's certainly a really exciting prospect.
If you're loving this deep dive into what makes Burrow special, do me a favor and smash that like button. And here's a question for the comment section. What's the one Burrow moment that made you a believer? Let's hear it. That anticipation, that ability to operate 2 steps ahead while everyone else scrambles to keep up with the present. It didn't just elevate his production, it forced every defender on the field to play at a tempo that ground them down mentally and physically. You weren't defending a quarterback. You were trying to outthink someone who'd already calculated your next 3 moves. Regular seasons build resumes. But January football? That's where myths are born, and when everything intensified, when franchise legacies hung on single possessions and decades of disappointment pressed down on every snap, Joe Burrow didn't flinch. He got bigger, multiple playoff games. Touchdown passes that shifted momentum in seconds. Yardage totals that rewrote what people thought possible for a quarterback in his first few postseason appearances.
Will fail to realize this. When I played Joe Burrow this last time, this was a whole different Joe Burrow. This healthy 100%. Joe Burrow, the anticipation, his IQ, pre-snap awareness,
scrambling out the pocket, throwing on the run,
when I tell you
dots.
This version of Joe Burrow is the best quarterback in the NFL. And I get it. Patrick Mahomes, people gonna make the argument. People gonna say, "Oh no, Josh Allen, their team is, whatever, 10-2. Lamar is 10-5." I get it. Better records, whatever. If you talk about who's playing the best quarterback football right now, Joe Shiesty. He's the best quarterback in the NFL.
These aren't just data points. They're chapters in a story being written under unforgiving spotlights. And then there was that moment, the throw, the drive, the stadium erupting in a way Cincinnati hadn't experienced in a generation. Broadcasters abandoned coherence. Grown men wept. And somewhere, a kid decided right then that number 9 would be their forever hero. Pressure reveals character. It either breaks you down to your foundation or forges you into something unbreakable. Joe Burrow is pure steel. When former opponents speak about him now, the competition stripped away, there's something different in their voices. This kind of respect isn't manufactured or polite. It's earned through battle, through Sundays when you threw everything at him and still walked off the field second best. Through the slow understanding that the margin between stopping him and getting torched wasn't thin, it was invisible. He's posted victories against nearly every franchise in the league. His record against division rivals, teams that knew him better than anyone, speaks to consistency that transcends single games or lucky breaks. Even organizations that built their entire identity around stopping him usually failed. There's an unwritten code among NFL players, a mutual understanding that exists beyond jerseys and rivalry. Within that code, certain names carry gravity that no stat sheet can quantify.
I'll tell you the kind of quarterbacks that they fear. And I love Dak Prescott. Didn't nobody fearing Dak Prescott?
Right.
They fear Josh Allen. They fear Lamar. They fear Joe. They fear Joe because of his mind, because they feel as though he can do it with Patrick on the same level.
I just know that's a great quarterback over there. It's a lot of great quarterbacks in the league, not just us two. And it's a divisional game. I just know it's gonna be a dogfight with regardless, because he got dog in him.
Joe Shiesty. Joe, that's one of my favorite quarterbacks to watch play. I don't like playing against him. Why? Laugh it out, give you the smirk, and come out and dime you up.
Joe Burrow isn't just recognized, he's honored. Trophies collect dust, records eventually crumble. But who you are when nobody's watching, that's permanent. Away from the cameras and championship stages, Burrow became known for something box scores will never reflect: authenticity. In 2020, he launched the Joe Burrow Hunger Relief Fund, a genuine commitment that extended far beyond publicity. To date, it's raised millions for food insecurity across Ohio, changing lives in ways that will never trend on social media, but matter infinitely more than any fourth quarter comeback. What you saw on Sundays was who he was on Tuesdays. No manufactured persona, no image consultants crafting his public face. Whether he was dissecting a defense or meeting with families impacted by his foundation, the person remained constant. That kind of authenticity can't be faked. And everyone who encountered him recognized it immediately. So where does the conversation settle? Once the arguments fade and the debates exhaust themselves, what's left standing? Over 15,000 career passing yards in just a handful of seasons, triple-digit touchdowns, a Super Bowl appearance before his 26th birthday, a playoff resume that most quarterbacks don't compile in twice the time. Numbers that will fuel arguments for decades to come. But legacy transcends statistics. It lives in influence, in the thousands of kids who begged their parents for his jersey, who practiced his throwing motion until their arms ached, who chose number 9 because he made it mean something beyond fabric and stitching. Joe Burrow didn't just play quarterback. He transformed expectations. He inspired a city, and when the final assessment comes, Not from talking heads or algorithms, but from the men who actually competed against him, the conclusion is crystal clear. Generations pass, champions rise and fall, careers end, but certain names refuse to fade. And that's exactly where Joe Burrow's story is heading, straight to the top. If this video gave you a new perspective on Joey B, make sure you're subscribed. We're breaking down NFL legends every single week. And before you go, drop a comment. Who should we cover next? Your input shapes this channel. Let's keep this conversation going.